Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone, and today we're going to take a look at whether or not you should buy Symbiote Spider-Man. This is the new Season Pass card coming for the September season. It is also the home of the new Activate card. So we're going to take a look at a bunch of decks for this card, what it means, what its abilities and synergies are, and so very much more. But first, we should do a last chance review for Kate Bishop Hawkeye. Kate Bishop Hawkeye is a 2/3, the August Season Pass card. On reveal, add 2 arrows to your hand. You can either buy her for the next couple days as of this recording, or you can thereafter buy her with tokens. I think Kate Bishop is very likely a must-have card. She is one of the 3 2-drops that can go in any deck, along with White Widow and along with Jeff. What order you put those 3 cards in depends what kind of decks you like. With White Widow and Junk, Kate Bishop is an absolutely incredible card. She's a great card in move decks because of the grapple arrow. She is amazing if you are looking to trigger Thena, because she gives you 1-drops to play along the curve for when you don't see Kitty Pryde, in order to better trigger that card and make it as big as possible. And she's just overall great in Wiccan decks because she does that same curve filling, except now in exchange in a way to get 2+2 power. If you are playing any of those decks, Junk, Move, Wiccan, or Thena, then you really want this card. It goes in plenty of other decks as well, but in those decks it is utterly irreplaceable. So if you're looking at those, please feel free to please make it a priority to go get Kate Bishop Hawkeye. You will not regret owning this card. This is one of the best Season Pass cards they've ever released, and probably the most balanced, really strong Season Pass card they've ever put out. Basic Arrow is, generally speaking, the worst of the arrows. It does have some synergy. Kate Bishop is reasonably often in bounce decks, and 3 of the arrows are on reveals. So Basic Arrow gives you just a decent power, 1/4, that will move a werewolf, so that ends up being fairly decent. Outside of that, this is the arrow you, generally speaking, least want to see. Pim Arrow is, generally speaking, a better version of the Basic Arrow. This one is a location fill. It is good if you're playing a lot of decks like Zoo, if you're trying to fill locations with bounce decks, so on and so forth. It is better in like a monkey bounce deck than a werewolf bounce deck, obviously, since it doesn't have a non-reveal, but it is still just a decent amount of power, and then it can be a surprise decent amount of power at the end of the game, or your opponent has to sort of account for whether you're going to trigger it or not. By filling a location to end the game, makes it a very solid card. These Basic and Pim are the 2 worst arrows, but Pim is still reasonably good. Grapple Arrow, on reveal after you play your next card move to this location, has a lot of little tricks to it. It's amazing with cards like Dagger. It works well with cards like Vulture, Human Torch, etc. If you're running Move, this is the arrow you're really looking for. Dagger is the best generalist move card right now, right? Like in a bounce deck, Vulture is often better, but in a in a move deck, Vulture is often better. But outside of that, you, generally speaking, if you're splashing, you're aiming for Dagger because she's so cheap and gets so big. Grapple Arrow works amazingly with that card. It's also good for various surprise situations, like with Nocturne changing a location the turn you play it. That will give you 2 location changes with Nocturne. And you have plenty of other little locations and such that will work really well with Grapple Arrow. Grapple Arrow, for example, a thing I did in testing that actually ended up working, because remember I did the testing for this season's cards, or the early season cards here, was if you play Grapple Arrow on the +5 location, Nidavellir, and then you play a card on to the next card gets the power, right? The top card of your deck gets the power of the card you play here. Grapple Arrow will pull the card you played over, and you will get the +5 to the next card you draw. Stuff like that. Grapple Arrow is just a really good and versatile card that offers you a lot of trick plays that have a lot of value. Finally, we have Acid Arrow. This is by far the best arrow. The Clog alone is insane. That it's a static -2 is fantastic. Acid Arrow damn near makes Kate overpowered. It is the best arrow. I'm not sure what she would be without Acid Arrow, because it's so far and away the best. When in games you don't see Acid Arrow, she's still very good, but in games where you do see Acid Arrow, she feels like one of the best cards in Marvel Snap. So Acid Arrow is incredible. At the end of the day, Kate Bishop is a must-have card for numerous decks. I strongly urge you to, if you can at all afford it, spend the $9.99 to get this card. All right, our season pass card for September is Symbiote Spider-Man. This is going to be a Series 5 6,000 token card. The second it's not a season pass card. It is a 4/6. Activate. Merge your lowest cost card here with this. Copy its text like it just revealed. Got it? So it's going to merge like it were Phoenix Force, except not with the destroyed thing, with the lowest cost thing at that location. That's going to be strong. Adding an extra 6 and then adding an extra on reveal trigger is amazing. This can mess you up. Things like goblins and debris can really hurt this, but if you can control the locations, if your opponent isn't playing a hard counter or locations don't randomly counter you, you can get an awful lot of power from this card. Cool. Let's go forward and we're going to look at all the important things. First, let's look at the variants. Some people decide what to buy based on the variants, and this Symbiote Spider-Man comes with this very cool symbiote variant that if you buy it and complete your season pass, you get a pretty cool, like the base Symbiote Spider-Man is decent, and then you get this great one for completing the season pass track. The day after the card comes out, though, there's also this Symbiote Spider-Man variant that should appear in your shop. Basically, the day you buy it. This is This is the season. A comic cover variant from the original Secret Wars. I'm buying this immediately. I think this is gorgeous, and I cannot be more excited to buy and play with this version of the card. This will be the only one I ever use, I'm pretty sure. As much as I actually really do like the Tuccrr version, the Mike Zeck Secret War one is where I am going with this card frickin' immediately. These are my favorite covers, I think. My favorite cards outside of Dan Hip variants are the comic covers, so I'm hyped for this. Okay, so what's Activate? Cards with Activate must be played and resolved. So you can't play an Activate card and then do anything with it immediately, otherwise it's just on reveal. You play an Activate card, and then once it's resolved, once it's on the board, you can next turn activate it. Cool. To activate it, you press the card, or you mouse over it and press it, and you hold there until Activate appears. You can also hold to deactivate. You can also undo all actions to deactivate. Each one can be used once per game, so once you've activated, no bouncing, no other bullshit is going to re-trigger this. It's going to activate once per game. There is no cost, though. It's just it happens once per game when you decide to use it. It's going to resolve prior to the last card revealing, like think old move, right? So you can, if you wanted to, you get this card down and you want to trigger it on a 3-cost card, but you already have another 4 for whatever reason in that location. Right? You can play, let's say you want to trigger it on a 1-cost card and you already have a 3 in the location you play this. You can play that 1-cost card and then trigger Activate. The Activate will take place when you hit it, just like old move, where you can sort of start doing things and then move your cards, and then it would take effect. That's how this is going to work. The only counters thus far are destroy. Like if you destroy the card, the activation won't happen. There are some delayed activations, like moving a card and so on, where if you end up killmongering or whatever, the activation will not happen, even if it was pre-triggered. And silence will do the same thing. And I think the only way to silence any activated cards right now in the game is Red Guardian, although I guess Copycat now will do the same thing. Copycat will obviously mean the card has no text, at least until they finally update that change. For anyone who missed it, by the way, Copycat's VFX did not match the recent OTA change, so they reverted her to her old functionality until they can get that settled. Hellcow and Black Swan will be activate. This is announced. We'll talk about them at the end of the video. Instead of going over the rest of the Spotlight cards, that'll be a different video that's still coming. We're going to talk about Hellcow and Black Swan. I have very different thoughts about those 2 cards, but we don't know if this is going to change their costs or anything else about them. We just know that they're going to get activated. All good? Next up, please hit that sub button, like and comment. We're trying to get to 15,000 subs by the end of the year, and your subs would do a wonderful job of helping us get there. We do 7 days a week of video. We're doing 4 videos over just Sunday and Monday. You get more thorough, consistent Marvel Snap content with more top decks than anyone else gives you here. If you're willing, we also had the great Regis Kilbin on the podcast on Saturday. We do more great Marvel Snap content than absolutely anyone. If you want to stay ahead of the meta, hit that sub button. It also helps us towards our goals, so if you're willing, we'd appreciate it. We're also doing an absolutely huge giveaway. We give away 5 season passes at the start of the before the season, and 5 season passes once the season kicks off. So today's video will have a question in it. As long as you're subscribed and you answer that question, someone in the comments to this video will get a season pass. The same is true of every video since last Wednesday. Go through those videos, watch them, hopefully you enjoy. Again, we have exclusively the #1 deck right now. The deck that Derek, Havoc OP, is playing in the #1 spot on the Infinite Leaderboard. No one else had. We had it first. Check out that video. There's a question in it. You answer that question, you are entered to win a season pass. If you're looking for Symbiote Spider-Man for free, this is a great way to get it, and hopefully help support us in the process. Hopefully you enjoy your time here and keep watching. All right. We are also kicking off the Snap Judgments League Season 4. This is a $500 prize pool tournament. You have to be a $1 Patreon. That is the only caveat to competing in the tournament. Everything else is on the screen. It's 1 game a week. You get to play top content creators and stuff. If you win your pod, you get a season pass, and then further than that, and if you go further than that, you're competing for $500 in prizes. It's great for only $1, but we have a new $1 perk. Basically, it's a new perk for all patrons. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. At the end of each month, I'm going to put everyone into I'm going to make a post, and everyone who replies to that post, you'll get the number of entries that's your tier. So if you're a $1 tier, you'll get 1 entry. If you're a $5 tier, you'll get 5 entries. If you're $10, you'll get 10 entries. And I'm going to put them into a raffle, and the winner of that raffle is going to get a night of Let's Hang Out and Play some Marvel Snap. So if you're interested, all you have to do is enter the $1 tier to get that new perk as well. So hopefully you find that interesting. Hopefully you're willing to do that. Let me know, like, this is not the giveaway comp, but let me know if you think that's pretty cool. That makes you more likely to check it out. Cool. All right, Symbiote Spider-Man synergies. So remember, this triggers on cost, not power. So if you have a 1/5, but you want this to happen on a 5/0, it's going to go to the 1/5. It's worth knowing. This is great with cards like Iron Man and Black Panther, but those are particularly counterable in this circumstance. If there's 2 cards of viewing cost, we're assuming it'll happen to a random one, as is usually the case in Marvel Snap. But cards like Panther and Iron Man are incredible. In fact, Black Panther, let's say you play Black Panther and then you hit activate, right? You play Black Panther as the only other card on that Symbiote Spider-Man lane. Black Panther is going to trigger his on reveal immediately and become an 8. At that point, you're going to trigger activate. He's then going to become a 5/14, right? 6 + 8, and then he's going to become a 5/28. Seems like it's pretty good with cards like Arnim Zola and Taskmaster, right? I think this is, in my guess, part of the reason that they hit Taskmaster here. So this is going to be just a big card on Deadpool and Human Torch because they're both 1s and they double. It remains to be seen if they're going to be able to be killmongered in the same way after they're merged this way. But if you double either of those with +6 power, you're just immediately so big that you're causing problems. It's entirely possible with Human Torch in particular. Excuse me. With Human Torch in particular, that something like Living Tribunal makes this a game-winning card. I'm very excited to try that out. We'll have decks for that. In addition, working with those 2 cards, Nimrod and Phoenix Force seem to love this. This is sort of a backup Phoenix Force in some situations. Sticking this on Nimrod gives you the same thing as Shuriing that Nimrod for destroying it, which works out. It's basically a backup Shuri. This is going to be incredible. Please note, you cannot play this on turn 6 and trigger the ability. If you play this on 6, you're just playing a 4/6. You can trigger it on turn 6, though, just fine. If you played it on turn 5 or 4. This can end up being like an Odin sometimes, but if you're going to do that on Wong, the card has to be cheaper. Think Sage or Ironheart. Sticking this, if you've got like a, say you've got a White Tiger location, right? Like you're going either Ironheart or Sage, Wong, and White Tiger. I guess you wouldn't be able to White Tiger. It would have to be on turn 5, right? Let's say it's a 7-turn game just to make my life easier for this example. Then you trigger it. It's going to hit Sage or Ironheart and then re-trigger that card twice because of the Wong, which seems amazing. Docty thinks this might re-trigger Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I don't think that's confirmed yet, but if this allows you to basically create a new instance of the card, so you play Negasonic, they blow something up. You play this card on Negasonic and Negasonic reworks. That's going to be incredible, and that might actually make Negasonic meta. I think that this is going to be incredible. And I think the important thing to note when you're determining whether to buy this card, outside as far as card quality goes, is this is the first new keyword in Marvel Snap since global launch. Every other keyword in this game came from the beta, so there's no way they're going to let this be bad. They're not going to do this big new thing and let it be disappointing, or rather, if it is disappointing, because they do miss a little more than they should, they will not let it be disappointing for long. They will OTA patch make this effective. So I think that we're looking at something extremely powerful here. Cool. Lore and math. Our friend Lauren Whatevs, who's brilliant and whose podcast you should check out. You can check her out on twitter.com/Lauren Whatevs. Did a bunch of math on buying a Series Pass card. A Series 5 card is worth 68 tokens or 2.5 keys. You save that by buying the Season Pass, right? You save either the equivalent of 6.5 tokens or 2.5 keys down the line. On top of that, you get 300 credits and 1,550 extra gold, assuming we're counting weekend missions. You also get 3 exclusive variants, 1 premium mystery variant, 2 mystery variants, 3 avatars, 2 titles, 1 card back, and 1 emote. That's 7,250 worth of cosmetics. So if you ever buy cosmetics, you're never getting any value on anything. Even like you can spend $7,000 on 1 or 2 variants, or you can get 3 exclusive variants, 1 premium mystery variant, 2 mystery variants, 3 avatars. You get the idea here? In the end, without cosmetics, the Season Pass is worth $212.92. Sorry, with cosmetics, it's worth $212.92. So if you buy cosmetics in Marvel Snap, you're getting, and obviously you get, when you buy cosmetics, you get like value as well, right? The dollar value of that would be, if they were selling this at market cost, at the cost of their game, would be $212.92. Without cosmetics, let's say you don't give a shit about a single cosmetic. You are Husky Puppies, who's never bought a variant, right? You don't give a shit. Without those, the Season Pass is still worth $122.31. It costs $9.99. That's 21.31 times value, or just, casual 12.24 times value without. There's no other value in the game that even approaches just buying the Season Pass every month. My advice is going to end up being buy the Season Pass for these reasons, but we're also going to evaluate whether you should buy it for the power of the card. All right, so the first deck we're going to look at is, as always, from the king of new Marvel Snap card content, Docty. Docty decided to put this into a, what did Safety call this? The One Piece shell, where we're saying this is a White Tiger Namora deck. So I can trigger this on White Tiger Namora, right? I can go Symbiote Spider-Man into White Tiger Namora for an extra trigger of either of those cards. That seems incredible, right? But you can also end up hitting the Cassandra Nova Ironheart Sage combo, which all seem fantastic. Honest to God, there's worse things to hit than Nightcrawler and Jeff, and just having a 2/9 Jeff or a 1/8 Nightcrawler seems like it would be insanely strong. Any of these hits are incredible, assuming you can set them up. I think that this is going to be one of the best homes. This deck has been around the top of the meta since release, and no one talks about it because so few people have Namora. Once people get Namora, I think this is going to be an absolutely, absolutely amazing home for this card. Next up, we have another amazing new card content creator, Rez Snapper, who will be on the podcast with Docty pretty soon, talking about, you guessed it, the new cards, is going to be the maker of our Phoenix Force list. I've seen versions of this that also do the Black Panther thing. You can also do the Black Panther thing in this deck if you'd like to, but this is basically saying I can do multiple things here. I can do just Spider-Man into Deadpool. If I can destroy that once or twice, right, is going to be huge and game winning. So if I can get that going on turn 5 and then immediately destroy it, right? I've now got and assuming I've destroyed Deadpool like once or twice before, I've now got like a 15-16 power card that I can then Zola. That's reasonably likely to win a lane, right? It seems likely. You could also Shuri nonsense for that as well, which just seems silly strong. Cool. You can do it on Human Torch, and then you can, or Phoenix Force that Human Torch for similar power. Again, if you are just Human Torch, Symbiote, and then Ghost Spider, that is a ton of power. That's a 16 power card. For that one, you didn't even need to Phoenix Force it. You got that 16 power. If you got an extra 2 from Nico, that's now a 20 power card. You're fine doing it on multiple men with much the same concept. You just got 18 power worth of cards. And then, like, once in a while, you'll just throw it on a Phoenix Force. You'll use it to re-trigger a Venom to eat a bunch of random crap. And when, say, for example, a Nimrod, and then when you do that, you will then have a giant Venom to end up Arnim Zoling as well. Lot to like here with this combination for Symbiote Spider-Man. This is probably more or less where I'm starting. Next up, we have the Jeet version. The Jeet version is a pure Phoenix Force. The only other real play it has is Deadpool, but this does give you that extra Deadpool bullshit play. Or you can do some Nico nonsense where you can find Nico at the double spell, double her with whatever you play next, and then redouble again with Symbiote Spider-Man for like a 20 power, 22 power, something silly. Nico Minoru, which then you can end up Taskmaster. We're assuming Symbiote Spider-Man works the same way as Hulkbustering with Taskmaster, where it doesn't matter if the other card was what you played first. Symbiote Spider-Man will then make that the last thing played because of the combo. The merge is a new card that can then be copied, moved, whatever else with Ghost Spider or Taskmaster, which seems incredibly strong. This deck goes a little bit more all in with the I can destroy Deadpool stuff and copy that with Taskmaster, with Symbiote Spider-Man. Taskmaster here is an alternate to Zola, that's just a little bit easier to use and set up because you can have other cards in the location, right? Your goal here is to get big enough to really, really mess up the opponent. Obviously, you have the regular Phoenix Force play pattern, but Symbiote Spider-Man gives you other stuff to do. Next up, we have Safety's Wiccan Panther. I think that this is going to be really, really cool. This deck has like a 60% win rate right now with Absorbing Man in that Black Panther, in that Symbiote Spider-Man spot, because you can sometimes Absorbing Man Cassandra Nova or Absorbing Man Zabu to get extra bullshit out. This is wildly strong, right? Like, if you don't see Wiccan, you can just drop Symbiote Panther. The 28 power Zola thing is fine here. You can just use it as an Odin. If you ended up hitting that Cassandra Nova, you could just get a stupidly huge Cassandra Nova. You could use it to re-trigger Wiccan, like immediately upon play. On turn 5, I guess it would be a re-Wiccan trigger, which seems really strong. Because you have Psylocke and Zabu, you can do some of that stuff on turn 3 and 4 to just really, really go off. You have a lot of powerful win conditions with this list. I think that this is going to be a very cool way to play Symbiote Spider-Man, and this is my Black Panther early list of choice. Next up, we have IA Gwenpool. This is a deck that Aoi made that had a really high win rate, and then everyone just sort of stopped playing it. It's basically saying, well, I can Symbiote Spider-Man lots of things. If I hit Brood, it's not going to do anything good, right? Like, it's just going to re-trigger and give me one extra card. But if I hit Black Panther, I think it's good enough. I probably want to add Mr. Sinister here, but the concept is sound to just be like, I have this one thing that can add all this extra power. Symbiote Spider-Man seems at the very least quite fun after Gwenpool, and I think that this is interesting enough to give some space too. Because, like, if they're avoiding the Brood Absorbing Man lane, and then you go Symbiote Spider-Man and then Black Panther to end the game, like, that's so freaking much power. How do they stop that, right? I think that it's worth looking into just having it as a powerhouse in this deck. Next up, BBAK sent this. This is sort of a different take on that safety deck from earlier. This is a Spiders deck. This was running Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel's really rough right now because the meta is very junk-filled. So we added Symbiote Spider-Man, another card that's weak to junk, but like at least it still does something against junk, right? Whereas that doesn't. Like, you're just trying to hit a card, right? Like, you can either use this to re-trigger Namora for just a crazy powerful Captain Marvel that's probably going to win you the game, or you can just throw it onto the Nightcrawler, Jeff, Nocturnes of the world, or even Captain Marvel herself. Any of those are perfectly fine as just ways to get insane amounts of power. If you did the Namora thing, right, like you just pump Symbiote Spider-Man with Namora, and then you can drop Captain Marvel in that location last turn, trigger that as soon as Captain Marvel reveals, she's going to become 11 power plus 5, 16 power, and then you have a 16 power can move to win the game. That seems like it's usually going to win the damn game. So that's what we're looking to do with this kind of deck. Next up, BBAK negative. BBAK was number 1 with a version of this deck in February, and then number 2 in March. I decided to try this out as a Symbiote Spider-Man list because it was already running Black Panther, was already running Iron Man, Sage, all these cards that really, really like it. Sorry, it was actually running Ironheart in one spot, and along with Shang-Chi and Null. So I made that be Zola and Symbiote Spider-Man, or Taskmaster and Symbiote Spider-Man, one of the two, on the logic that making a huge Black Panther is relatively easy. Even a 16 power Black Panther that I can then copy with Taskmaster seems like it's probably pretty damn powerful, right? I can also do the Zola on the Wong Panther thing, or I can do the Symbiote Spider-Man on the Panther to then Zola or Taskmaster that. or I can just do Wong on Sage, right? And then Symbiote Spider-Man that Sage, and then Taskmaster that, or Zola that, and we're just, a million ways to get a million power on the board that I think are going to be really cool. If you like Mr. Negative, I think this card is like absolutely must have. Yes, this is going to be a terrible, terrible negative draw. But like you don't super want to draw Black Panther after negative either. So you're just fine being like, when I have this earlier, it's great. When I Psylocke into this early, we're perfectly happy. And obviously everything else should just sort of come together. I think that this is going to be, again, very, very strong. There's some argument that Psylocke can go back to being Zabu here, while Wong says it should be Psylocke. There's an argument both ways, because Symbiote, Wong, and Negative getting out early are all extremely powerful. And sometimes you just do the negative Iron Man thing. This, I don't like Mr. Negative very much, but I'm going to make Dubos play this because this seems wild to me. All right, Symbiote Spider-Man is Hulkbuster meets Odin, so yes, that's good. Those are two good cards smashed into one, sort of at the mid-cost between them. Plus, it's a free card, and Marvel Snap Second Dinner cannot let their new keyword fail, especially when they're selling it to us with money. So this will be good. The Season Pass card is always worth it since last August, except for literally Black Swan. Black Swan is the only Season Pass card since last August that didn't very quickly find a top of the meta place. You saw what they did for Gilgamesh, the only other card who disappointed, immediately got +2 power and became extremely powerful. Plus all the credits and gold, and the variants and avatars and titles and card backs and even the emote. Plus, you don't have to use tokens or keys on it later on. Just get the Season Pass. Go get this card. Cool? Hey, if you'd like to see some games with this card when it comes out, you should check out the Stream Team. The Stream Team is our friends that stream. Later today, there's going to be 2 videos today. I probably should have announced that earlier, but there are going to be 2 videos today. The King of Canada will be streaming some games with decks from this video. But that's today. When this card comes out, the great Prashaun, happy belated birthday, my friend, will be streaming some games with decks from this video. So please go check out Prashaun. And in between the two, we'll have Gregor2424 tomorrow with a bunch of awesome decks. Make sure you watch them if you're interested in Marvel Snap gameplay. All right. Hellcow is going to be already announced. This is a Series 3 card, so they're giving people a free activate as long as they're in Series 3. Activate, discard 2 cards from your hand. Note, more than just the activate here could change, like the stats could be changing, or so could some of the trigger ability. However, I think that this makes Hellcow a must-in discard decks. You can play this on 4. Fundamentally, what I'd really like to do here is be able to... so I think the best discard decks right now, and like proven the best discard decks right now, are the Helicarrier ones. I can trigger Hellcow to get rid of my Helicarrier on turn 6. And then I can still MODOK. That's insanely strong. That changes discard completely, and discard, as of recording, is already the number 2 spot on the Infinite leaderboard. So I would just like it noted that I think Hellcow is going to find a way into this deck as an extraordinarily powerful enabler. The spot it's replacing has been altered between Gambit and Moon Knight. Gambit and Moon Knight are high roll cards. Hellcow does not have to high roll. Your worst case is you just, assuming that you play it, right? Your worst case is you just discard it. It's one of the many, many cards you discard in this list. But you can perfectly fine just play this on 5 and see what you draw on turn 6 to make decisions. Discard loves this so very much. And again, discard is extremely strong right now. I think this is going to really, really push it over the top. This is taking a 3 power card in this list and saying, instead, I'm going to have an 8 power card. That gives me extra control over everything the deck wants to do. I'm in love. This is going to be so, so strong. Black Swan is Series 5, 6,000 tokens, which means if you bought this as a Season Pass or happen to open it in the one time it's been Spotlight since or use tokens, you get another Activate card. Activate until the end of your next turn. Your 1-cost cards cost 0. Again, More Than Activate can change, and I have to hope that More Than Activate changes. It has been confirmed by Glenn in the Ask the Mod section, Ask the Whatever section of the Marvel Snap Discord, that this card must be played before turn 5 for its Activate to have any effect. If you play it on turn 5, you could activate it on turn 6, but unless there's a turn 7, it doesn't do shit. This is a bounce card through and through, though, and I think that that's kind of a problem. I spoke to a lot of top bounce players. Bounce is my favorite archetype. I don't think that Bounce wants to play this on turn 3 or turn 4. If you're playing something like Hitmonkey Bounce, then what you want to be doing on turn 3 is usually triggering Angela, getting down, if you're running Angela, getting down your bishop. Black Swan counters that. That's what you want to do on turn 3. In turn 4, you need to start your bouncing. Your goal is to use both Bishop and Falcon to bounce twice where humanly possible. You cannot do that and still play Black Swan. I think that's really, really rough. Meanwhile, Werewolf playing Black Swan and a 1 on turn 4 is really, really rough. Plus, if you don't draw Black Swan for if you play Black Swan on 3, then you're stuck Werewolf and a 1 on turn 4. You're only left turn 5 to bounce, and I think that's really, really dangerous for bounce decks. That makes it so much weaker to all the counterplay in the meta, like Goliath and Sandman and such. I think that, like, I don't think Black Swan is worse, but I don't think it's better unless it ends up costing 2. I'm very, very disappointed with this change. I think Black Swan should really, really, really cost 2, or it should just be able to work on turn 5 for this to work. I'm very worried about them presenting them letting Black Swan be what I think is going to be, what all the bounce players so far think is going to still be disappointing with their hot new keyword. So I'm really hoping that they change this to a 2-3 or 2-4. Then I think the problem sort of resolves itself because it's no longer taking up the majority of my turn 4, and now I don't mind playing it. All right, bounce move ranked August 2023. This is right now a meta list. It works. It's really great. I have the exact same problem with Black Swan I said I would have with this list, but this is a list that made Den's tier list for the game. I believe this is Fazzer has a version of this that I really liked with Iron Man that I've got to take a longer look at in a video relatively soon. But sorry, Beast is showing the old stats. Beast is a 3-5. So is it still showing the old stats? Whatever. Beast is a 3-5, not a 2-2, which means that the cost curve here is awkward. I think this Black Swan change made so much more sense with Beast as a 2. It's actually painful because, well, even then, like, the problem is my turn 4, right? My turn 4, I need to be moving something, I need to be bouncing something, or Bishop doesn't work, but now I need to be playing Black Swan on that turn. And I'm really, really concerned about this. I'm not trying to be facetious or, like, over-exaggerate. I'm not sure how this curve works. But we're, like, going to look at other ones. This is the Barzy version of Bounce that had Black Swan. I decided to give this a look. This one has Beast showing the right numbers. I don't know what's happening. Oh, well, they're from different days, but I pulled them, whatever. I pulled them at the same time. So, okay, here we are. Yeah, this even has the right Loki. Okay. Ignore me. Well, don't ignore me, but you know what I mean. Let's move on to the actual card. When am I Black Swanning here? My only time to Black Swan if I see Werewolf is turn 4. But now I can't play that with Loki, which is often a power play. I can only play that with one of my 1-drops, and now I have to spend the next turn bouncing, and we're getting really icky. White Widow probably has to go for an extra other card here. I'm not sure how to do this. This one I think is the simplest one. Yes, it has Bishop, but like you're fine playing Black Swan early here, and then sort of like going Black Swan and whatever Kitty, and then letting that mean you can trigger your Black Swan. Oh no, that doesn't work. That's only 2 cards on turn 4. That's your Sasquatch costing 4, and you still need Sasquatch and Falcon or 6. That doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know how this works. I don't know how Black Swan, if she still costs 3, works in these situations. I think it likely gets cut because when you wanted to play it was turn 5. And if I can't play it on turn 5, like, because what you would do on turn 4 is you would play like 4 cards, and then you would be able to just Black Swan, right? You would play either some cheap stuff, right? Like you go Bishop, and then you would go like, well, Beast costs 2 at the time, right? So you would go 1, 2, 3 with you would just play a bunch of cheap stuff and bounce, and then you'd be able to go back. This is a mess. I think that Black Swan is a mess now. I don't know what else to say. I hope I'm wrong. I really, really hope I'm wrong. I want this card to be good. It hasn't been good since release for more than a few days and in like niche decks, but I really want this card to be good. All right, questions of the day, and then we're going to be out of here till the second video later today. So the first question is, Dragono asks if introducing new mechanics is good for the game, and how it will specifically affect the new player experience. My personal opinion is I think adding new mechanics is both great for the game and an absolute necessity. The game should find more ways to be played. Eventually, they will run out of design space if they don't add new mechanics. New mechanics are also exciting for the player base. They give the people who are already playing more reasons to pick up and play the game, to open the app, to try things out. All of that is really, really good. I think it's one of the main reasons that every new set, Magic, for example, has a mechanic, not a new mechanic necessarily, but a mechanic that they use for that set. Because it goes, oh, I haven't seen that in a while, or oh, that's novel, and those novel experiences keep people playing. As far as affecting the new player experience, I mean, I can eventually see that happening, but right now it's a Series 3 card and then Series 5 cards, so I'm not really concerned in the immediate future. The new player experience shouldn't be touched because they just don't have to print this on new cards. Nuff Poppin is hoarding for series drop, and that's my perspective. Series drops seem to happen 3 times a year, and we might be coming up on another. I think the last one was June-ish, May, June. So we're in September, so that's 3 months, so it should be around the next month and a half. Look, it depends what you want to play, right? Like, if you're having significantly less fun with the game because you don't own a card, and yes, that's marketing FOMO, that's what Second Dinner does, then I think you should probably just grab the damn card. But I understand hoarding until series drops. Right after series drops is definitely the safest time to spend. Mandatory Burnout wants werewolf tips. So my werewolf tips are: first, werewolf is one of the most important cards in the game to get down. Like, that doesn't like not work on a different turn. To get down on turn 3. If you can play werewolf on turn 3, you don't want to move it the maximum amount every time if it's going to clog your board and not let you do things later. You are not against, however, clogging a spot with werewolf on turn 4 leading into turn 5, especially if you have a bounce coming later, because that clogged location is fairly often, if you're good at reading your opponent, a spot that they're going to try and clog or do some other nonsense to, and it leaves you plenty of space in the other locations to move werewolf some more. The reason werewolf works in bounce is because by moving werewolf, you obviously end up clogged. Stopping that is hugely, hugely important, largely by bouncing cards. That's like Falcon's main use. Falcon is really, really, I think, in my opinion, better in werewolf decks than in exactly that reason. The other thing to really note about werewolf is you're not trying to make it huge, usually to end the game, unless you got like a Swan going or something. What you're trying to, like, often at the end of the game, it'll be like 11 power. I'll have a location that I think I could just win by leaving it alone, and I'll try and fill another location. I'm usually only competing for 2. And I'll just try and fill another location and say, okay, I win that location with werewolf already, and now I can play 3 cards in this other location to close it off. Or I want to move it once or twice to end the game, because I've already gotten it big enough that, like, I'm going to move it to one lane with like a Shadow King, and that Shadow King or Shang is going to win that lane. And then I'm going to move it to another lane that's just big power, where now I've got +4 power on the already big werewolf. And usually that last card is something along the lines of a like Rocket, and I've got another like 5 to 9 power from Rocket suddenly appearing there, and this lane that was unthreatening is suddenly just crazy, crazy power. So that's generally speaking how I try and win and play with Werewolf by Night. If you have any other werewolf tips, please let me know. Oh, I forgot my question for the season pass. So let's actually go back to here. What do you think of Black Swan Activate? Am I missing something here? Do you think this is going to be good, bad? What do you think of what this means for the keyword as a whole? Black Swan Activate, good, bad, otherwise. Where do you land? All right. Cool. Certainty. Oh, also, what other cards do you want to see activate besides Zabu? Zabu should be activated. Zabu will be activated eventually when they figure it out. What other cards do you want to see activate in Marvel Snap? So, Patreon. We have one. $1 tier comes with tournament entries, a deck archive, and now an entry into the raffle. $5 tier gets early access to videos and exclusive question and answers. And the $10 tier gets an exclusive video every week and in video shoutouts every single day. So if you're interested, please check it out at patreon.com/snapjudgment. Here's our shoutouts: Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnout, Cables, It Regardless, David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, Elaby, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer, Deuce Vault, Inc., I Am Frostman, Jane Everett, Corwin, Prime Brian, Hey Prime Brian, Brian Burke, Carrotix Lee, Corey Ray, Black Dahlia, Welcome, Not Back, Welcome, Always Here, Pyrofros, The Goat Seeker, Den Man Falcon, Quid Pro Joe, King of New Marvel Snap card content, especially notable in this type of video, Docty, Fat Nick, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, the Ratco, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, Rob Silverman, The Bizza, Xforce V, and Skippy G. Tommy Nyquist, who is the winner of Central League Season 1. King of Bros, Black, The Great Kazoo. Oh, also, hi the King of Bros kids. The Great Kazoo, Jessica Gamble, Woody, Kev C. Hoda, Luna Chris, Quantum Quinn, John Q, Clam, Ace Age, Mod Supreme, Models, Darth Tater, Joe P, hey Joe P, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B, how you doing? J.T. McDonaldinho, The Fuzzy Dunlap, Spectrum Mix, Woo, Matt H, DJ, Mikey Hijinks, No Frickin' Flex, Ocularis, Craig Sterry, Seamus, haven't heard from Seamus, hope Seamus is doing well, Jonesy, Two Ties, The Great Lauren Whatevs, The Pirate King Tuccrr, The Homie Min, and of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for, hey, hopefully you enjoyed this. Right below me is the current #1 deck if you'd like to check it out. Please do so, hit that sub, hopefully you win a season pass from me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Oh no, I'll see you later today, because I ain't done yet. Peace.